The last method I'll go over for solving quadratic equations is using the quadratic formula, and hopefully this is something you know how to use and have already memorized the quadratic formula, so it's just a review. If you haven't memorized this formula, make sure you memorize it. You'll continue to use it in your future mathematics classes. Here's the formula. If you have a quadratic equation in this form, so ax squared plus bx plus c, so you have all the terms on one side equal to 0. It has to be in that form. Then x will be equal to the opposite of b, the coefficient of the x term, plus or minus that same number squared, minus 4 times a times this number times c, this number, and then all over 2a. This will work on any quadratic, whether you end up with real solutions or not. Hopefully, in this section we're just looking for real solutions, but later we'll look at all solutions, including complex numbers. Let's take an example. It's a slightly modified checkpoint 10, and I wrote it like this because I wanted to emphasize the point that to begin with, if you don't have everything on one side, you need to put it on one side equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides, change this to 2x squared plus 2x minus 1 equals 0. Now once it's in that form, our a would be 2, b would be also be 2, and c would be negative 1. And it's important that you keep track of the sign of these numbers because that will make a difference when we plug it in. Using the quadratic formula then, x will be equal to the opposite of b, so it'll be b is 2, so that'll be negative 2 plus or minus the square root of b squared, so it'll be 2 squared, minus 4 times a is 2, so 4 times 2, and c. Now here's where the sign is important. C has a value of negative 1, so we put that in. If this were plus 1, it would be a positive 1 we put in there, but since it's minus 1, it's going to be times negative 1. And then that's all over 2 times a. A again is 2, so that'll be 2 times 2. Now we have to work through this and simplify this expression, and this is where most of the work comes in with the quadratic formula. And a reason why I like some of the earlier methods, if they apply, again, it's less work. But let's go ahead and solve this now. We want to have an exact answer, and most of the time we will in a math class, as opposed to just plugging this into your calculator a couple of times. We want to leave the square root in our solution. So let's simplify what we have. X is going to be equal to negative 2 plus or minus. Let's take what we have under the radical sign. We have 4, and then minus 4 times 2 is 8 times negative 1. This is all negative 8, so it's actually minus negative 8, and then over 2 times 2 is 4. So that'll be negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus negative 8 is 12 over 4. Okay, once you're at this point, you should still look to simplify it. And the square root of 12 you should recognize is not in simplest form because it has a factor that that's a perfect square. In other words, a factor that we can take the square root of. So I want to work with that. I'm going to take that over here. Let's look at the square root of 12, or down here. Square root of 12 is equal to, if we're looking at factors, we can take the square root of 4 times the square root of 3. And then, of course, the square root of 4 is 2, so this will simplify to 2 times the square root of 3. So I'm going to put that in for the square root of 12. So our solutions are 2 plus or minus 2 times the square root of 3 over 4. And it looks to me like we're still not done because we have common factors between the numerator and denominator. Let's just take the positive one to start with. So because one solution is with this plus, the other one is minus. So let's take negative 2 plus 2 times the square root of 3 over 4 and see if we can simplify that. I would factor a 2 out of the top. So let's factor 2 out, and we would have 2 times negative 1 plus the square root of 3 over 4. once we have it in that form, you should be able to see that you can factor out a 2 from the top and the bottom. 4, of course, is 2 times 2, so what we'd be left with is 2. So the answer we get here is that x is equal to -1 plus the square root of 3 over 2. In fact, if you worked it through with a minus here instead of the plus, you get that x would be equal to 1 plus or minus square root of 3 over 2. So this would be, or I should say, these would be your solutions for this quadratic equation.